Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Halal Crypto Investing with your host Mujibul. And in today's show, we will be looking at the Dymension. We are going to be looking at the Dymension and its value proposition, if there are any network effects, utility, any strong investor base, and price predictions if they have changed since our last video. So if this interests you, keep watching our video. If you're new to the channel, then subscribe to Halal Crypto Investing, where we are looking for crypto assets that are halal to put our hard-earned cash into. And I'm Mujibul. I've been in crypto since 2017. I first came across crypto in 2015 when a friend of mine was mining Litecoin. And in the last crypto bull cycle, I was investing money in terms of 3 or 4 digits. And at one point, I had a paper gain of 6 digits. So from investing 3 digits and 4-digit sums, I went to 6 digits. And in my phrase, paper digit of 6 figures, I lost it all because of greed and other factors. So if you don't want to make those mistakes, then continue watching. And just a disclaimer that this is not financial advice. A lot of people lose money in crypto. These are just some of our opinions, and we're just a voice on the internet. Another thing to add is that there are many, many opportunities in crypto and in the world of crypto assets. What we are covering are not the only opportunities. There are many more. We are humans and we have limited brain bandwidth, so do look out for more things. If you are continuing to watch this video, thank you for your time, and let's get into Dymension. So you can see Dymension is powering the internet of rollups. And if we look into their website, you can see here it's loading. And this is what the page currently looks. I'm recording this on Monday, the 5th of February. And this is what their page looks like. Now, we first covered Dymension. If you go to our YouTube page, we first covered it on the 3rd of January. We mentioned it as part of our tokenless halal projects. So we covered it here on the 3rd of January. And we went into it a little bit. And since then, we've obviously been learning more about it, and lots of more updated information. So I'll include this in our description. Since then, we've got a lot more information, which I will be continuing and sharing with you. And you can see here in our last video, I kind of just gave abstract numbers. This was the second video we published on halal crypto money, free halal crypto money rather, on the 5th of January, where I gave a prediction of $1 and $10 and what can happen. Again, I'll include this in the description. But since then, many things have changed. So if we look at our Dymension website, you can see the different things that are on there. I had a look at this a few days ago, and since then it's changed. So I'll refer to this a little bit later on. Now, here's a tweet from CryptoCyto, because Dymension came to our attention because it was airdropped. And this is a comment that he's made or shared from somebody else, which he says, "Never sell an airdrop in a halving year. That's about as clear as I can make it. If you need the money, go and get a job. Jobless Twitter is rife with idiots. This game is all about accumulation, patience, and holding your nerve. It's not about paying next month's rent. It's about life-altering wealth. To many social media, so-called experts trying to give you advice like hold some, sell some, stake some, lol, just hold the lot, stake it even if you have an itchy finger so you don't sell it. In regards to DYM, I think it will be one of the stars of the later bull run this year. The tokenomics are fantastic, low supply, no seed investors involved for a year, and a half in prime bull run territory. Modular narrative on the same train as Celestia, it's got everything. If you wanted to build a really forward-thinking modern portfolio, Celestia, Dymension, and Altlayer would be a killer. So in a way, this tweet sums up a lot of what I am going to kind of cover. Let's go a little bit further. So in my Celestia video, I showed this tweet from Pastry where he looked at modular blockchains. So modular blockchains have three areas. You've got execution, settlement, and data layer. So the data layer is what Celestia does. Settlement is what Dymension will be doing. And execution, there's a project called Fuel that will be coming out. So this is a kind of make note of this for future. So execution will be Fuel. So the settlement layer is what Dymension is doing. Here's a little thread on what Dymension are. They're mutually bullish for each other, Dymension and Celestia. So this is just a little treat. I thought this is quite funny. So I'll put this there. Another one that kind of goes into this, which is the future of modular is the future is modular, bro. That's true. Modular blockchains and Dymension examples. So you've got that. There are two pieces of puzzles coming together. So you've got blockchain, four main tasks: consensus, execution, data availability, and settlement. So this is what Dymension will be doing. So I am dimensioning, bro. Settlement and consensus equals the Dymension hub. Execution is rollups and data availability is Celestia. So you can see the theme, Celestia and Dymension. Here's another kind of little animation. Dymension is the home of rollups, standardized rollups, man, on top of Dymension hub. So you've got roll apps, and they are going to be in the Dymension hub. So Dymension is going to be the home of these roll apps. And this is the founder of Dymension, Yishay. He says that the idea behind Dymension is simple: standardize roll-ups until it's another crypto primitive like an ERC20 or an NFT, this time with an inherent option of generating value rather than just representing value. So ERC20 or NFTs were value, whereas here roll-ups are generating value. So we'll come back to this in the future. So we had a look at previously the funders behind Dymension. So if we look at ICO drops, you've got, again, covering autonomy, performance, and liquidity. So this is the idea of roll-ups. You've got your own autonomy. You want to do things as quickly as possible, scale, and you've got liquidity. So this is what Dymension will help with. And you've got your tokenomics, which I will come to later. I'll go directly to the source. And if we look at, what are we looking at here? If we look at CryptoRank and Dymension, they've raised 6.7 million in funding. And then you can look at the VCs. Big Brains, Stratus Technologies, Matchbox, DAO, Shalom McKenzie. So I'll be looking at their website shortly. And if we look at their vesting, how the tokenomics are, how the tokens will be released. So tomorrow on the 6th of February, the token will be released, and 14.6% of the tokens will be released. So that equals to 146 time. And then you can see the other allocations, ecosystem and development 20%, incentives manager 33%, core team 20%, backers, and so on. So the vesting schedule you can see here. At the beginning, you've got the unlock, and then you've got the kind of research and development ecosystem will be kind of, it's up to the Dymension team how they release it. And then you've got a clear kind of gap here until the next unlock, where the team and backers are going to get their tokens. So this is good to see. So this is nice because you can see it's kind of good for retail, good for us if we're buying the token. And here, this is like a nice little unlock schedule monthly because tokens are released monthly. So you got unlock of 146, then 0.37% of the supply released every month, which equals to 3.7 million. So you can see here, it's a very normal, a little bit being released until we come to February next year. So here you have February next year, 22 million released, 2.2 supply percent. So until then, it's a kind of slow, gradual. So that's about 20% unlocked. Now, So in my tokenomics part, I'll use 25 as opposed to 20% because it's similar to Namada if you include the other things like how the team may release their tokens. Now, going back to one of the funders is Stratus. So I visited their website. This is their website, and you can look at their portfolio and the investments that they made. Fuel, you can see that, and a few other things. Just before I go into that, if you notice, there are no big brand names here. There is no Delphi or placeholder or anything like that. So that's interesting. But the other thing to point out is there's 6 million raised, and these are not big fundraise, big VCs. And this is, for me, a good thing because lots of venture capitalist companies will be interested in buying this off the market. So when this is released, in my opinion, obviously I could be wrong, but I think there's a big modular narrative at the moment. And so people who miss this kind of wave will be looking for opportunities to get into this. So I think Stratus is an interesting one to look into. So I'll do future videos in this because clearly they've nailed the modular narrative for this cycle. And it will be good to see what they've invested in and other tokens that are going to come out. But they've done an article here. We look at the content and the Internet of Rollups. And on this, they give a thesis of what Dymension and Celestia is. So this is their TLDR. Rollup composability creates strong network effects combined with the DYM security model. Dime will become modular money. So this is similar to Celestia, where you have modular money. If Ethereum could start from scratch today, it would likely look like Dymension and Celestia. So you got that. We believe a majority of dApps will eventually deploy as rollups. There are already over 10,000 on testnet. So this is something very interesting. Over 10,000 on testnet. Now, a few days ago, I looked at the Dymension testnet on this website. At one point, I think I saw 14,000. So that's very interesting. Now, what I want to kind of highlight here is that it's testnet. So clearly, not all of these projects will be genuine. So let's say a lot of it is fake, and from the 10,000 projects, 1% of them are real. So 1% of 10,000, you're looking at 100 projects that are real, for example. Let's just be super conservative. So from these 100 projects, there could be some gems that are released on this. So that's one point. And another point that comes to mind is that as roll apps are deployed, that will encourage other roll apps to kind of be deployed. So it will be interesting to see that idea. Dementia, or I've come across Dymestia, and other modular-based layers will be a driving force in this cycle. And I think I agree with this. There will be this whole thing, because if you look at the previous cycles, everything is around Ethereum and layer 2s, and the fees associated with it. Whereas this new cycle of modularity, some people are fed up with the fees. So you've got Solana who are doing things, fast, and modularity is in that lane as well, in my opinion. So I'm going to put this article in the description so you can have a read of it and see what is going on here. But I think those points cover it. Now, before I look into that, this is a little announcement from Halal Crypto Investing, and this is our agreement. We've spent a lot of time, effort, energy into researching. We hope that you can spend a little bit of your time and just click that subscribe button for us. This is our agreement to provide the best content we can for you, so that we are part of your homework and research for finding halal crypto investment. So give us a like and subscribe, and let's move on. So that is our article. Let's look at the Dymension tokenomics. So you can see the pie chart there a bit more. Same thing as before, similar to before, and the categories there. So the unlock schedule is here. So this looks similar to Nevada in my previous videos, in one of my previous videos. So I'll be using this in my number crunching. So let's look at how do we compare it. So a good comparison will be Celestia. Celestia currently has a market cap of 2.8 billion. So let's call it 3 billion. So these are my numbers that I'm looking at. So we've got an initial circulating supply of 14.6%. I come across that somewhere else. So I've just included that, rather than if you look at public allocation 8% and something else, community pool. So 8 plus 5 gives us 13. So I've taken the bigger number just to be a bit more conservative. So 14.6% on unlock. That's a circulating supply of 146 million tokens. Now the price, there's a discussion about $3 to $5. So I'm going to use 5 for now, and I'll show you what $3 looks like. So from now until kind of the next few months, if it gets to a market cap of 3 billion, it's a case of just dividing 3 billion divided by 146 million gets us to $20. So that's an interesting thing to look at in terms of dollars, 20.55. Now, will it do that in a space of a few months? I'm not sure. So let's take, if we look at the timeline here, we look at kind of in a year's time, this looks like about 200 million. In my previous video, I looked at Namada and it gave 25%. So I'm going to use that. So this takes us all the way up to May 2025. So we're looking at an investment of, if you like, holding on to this token for just over a year. So the circulating supply will be 250 million. If it goes to a market cap of 4 billion, $16. So I think that's much more realistic. And then again, if we look at how previous infrastructure projects look like, and I've used previously Arweave, where its market cap is increasing. So if we take 16 billion at 250 million tokens being released, it takes us to $64. So that's interesting. So obviously it's very, very speculative. So these numbers, what do they give you in terms of returns? So at $20 with the initial price here, let me just do something here, which I haven't done. I wanted to zoom in a bit more just to make it clear. So, so from $5 to $20 gives you 411%. So if you invested £100, that would equal to £400. If you invested, if it goes to $16, £100 would equal to £320. And if it goes to $64, then £100 would become 1,200. If you were looking at £1,000 investment, £1,000 would become £4,000 with the first target there of $20. If it did go to 16, £1,000 would equal to £3,200. And if it did go to $64, £1,000 would equal to £12,800. So these are the kind of numbers that may happen. Obviously, this is big speculation. This is not financial advice. This is just numbers and spreadsheets. So these are the numbers you're looking at. So again, in the last cycle, I held on to things too much. So what would be selling points? So you could just go literally 5, 10, 15, 20 like that. So 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, and just kind of have staggered sales like that all the way up to $60. So that's possible. So that's one thing. Now, what if this price came out at $3? Then this is what it would look like. £100. So your returns increase. So your £100 would equal to 685. If it went to $20, if it went to $16, your £100 would become £533. If it went to $64, your £100 would become £2,133. If you invested £1,000, then it would be $6,000 at $20. If if it went to $16, your £1,000 would look like $5,000. And if it went to $64, your £1,000 would look like £21,000. So interesting figures there. Now, let's continue with kind of other things to look at. What are we doing here? So we've looked at Dymension's tokenomics. So the positives of Dymension are that it's part of the new Modularity, modular money. Dymension is a layer 1. And we've seen in testnet, they've had over 10,000 rollups. So the interesting thing here, I've put here more than 1,000 rollups that will be launched, or 100 if we say 1% of that. Now, each rollup creates value, and that brings value to Dymension. So this layer one thesis, that's how this works out. And as time goes on, more and more rollups will be added to Dymension. And so that's an interesting thing. So as time goes on, that value will accrue. So therefore, as time goes on, the value of Dymension goes up. So that's very, very interesting. So that's something to kind of think about. Now, here's a big speculation about airdrops. Now, Celestia, if you are staking Celestia, then you get rewards, and in addition to that, you get airdrops. Now, there's nothing been mentioned about airdrops yet. So this is a big speculation. So if there are airdrops, then if you think about it, using my conservative figure of 100 good projects or 100 projects on Dymension, half of them, let's say, are haram. So 50 projects will be giving airdrops that are halal. So of the 50, majority of them may not be good as such, but there might be one or two hidden gems. So that's all you need for that return on your investment, so to speak, via the airdrops. Now, again, this is a big speculation. This is not financial advice. This is just some thoughts based on what's happened previously. So you've got that. Now, another thing to think about, which is the positive, is the user base of Dymension. It's part of the Cosmos population. Now, in one of the previous videos, kind of how I think about it is the crypto world is full of different islands. So you got your Solana island, your Ethereum island, your Bitcoin island. Your Bitcoin is full of older people. Your Ethereum are your baby boomers. And Solana are your young people. The Cosmos Island are your developers. They are your entrepreneurs. They are people who do things. They build projects. They do things as pay as you go. And so they don't need everything in a blockchain. So they just need data availability when they need it, so they pay for it. Similarly, they need settlement. So they pay as and when they need it. And so this is where having that large user base is very, very helpful. And this is why the airdrop has happened. Airdrop is a way of getting new users. And for some of our new viewers, I got some questions saying, what are staking? Staking, just to give you an analogy, is like, imagine a company that's been set up, a big supermarket, and they want a mall shopping center. They want to strengthen their company and to scale their company. So they come to you saying, look, we want to make our company bigger. Why don't you invest some money into us and we'll give you a return on your investment. So we'll give you 10% return for giving your money to us because there's a opportunity cost in giving your money. So that's the thing that they will do. So you are giving your tokens to them. They will use your funds to expand their business. So that's a similar analogy to what staking is. So by staking, you are strengthening the system. So in this case, you are strengthening Dymension and you're increasing its value. And in return, they are giving you that return. So you're going to get return. I think the average is like 15%. So staking gives you a 15% reward. So that's one reward, as well as if the airdrops happen, that's a second reward. Now, moving on to the next point, easy link to Ethereum. One of the things that Dymension has done is they have airdropped, and when you've given an airdrop address, you have to give the Ethereum airdrop address. So they're trying to link Cosmos with Ethereum. So this is part of trying to make things bigger, and they're trying to connect their island to other islands, which is good because it attracts liquidity. So they're kind of reaching out, if you like. So this is a positive. The other thing is, being a small project, new project, they're able to pivot if they need to. So this is nothing mentioned, but roll up as a service is something that is there. So pivoting and all of those things. So these are the positives. What are the risks? So will there be a product market fit? All of this is speculation. Time will tell, obviously. So this is a risk. Secondly, with other projects, there could be security apps because this is all code. There could be bugs. We've seen it with Thorchain Rune. So that's a risk in itself. We've seen another project, Terra Luna, that went to zero. So using this analogy of islands and buildings, Luna Island went to zero. So there is that risk there. So this is where it also becomes Islamic. You will lose your money potentially. So the risk is there and the reward is there. That's what the reward and risk is there for. Now, in terms of the airdrop speculation, is there an airdrop fatigue? I'm not sure. Time will obviously tell. And the other kind of risk to this is if Ethereum layer 2s perform really well, then obviously that is not good for Dymension because there is no need for roll-ups in that sense. So those are some of the risks, positives and negatives with Dymension. If you think there are more, then feel free to comment in the description below. Another point to think about just in terms of the investing landscape, again, these are opinions on the macro world. At the moment, the money supply is increasing. So when money supply increases, risk on assets, money flows towards risk on assets. So that's an interesting point. And another thing is that this year, 2024, there are elections happening, US elections. And one of the things that the president will want is a good economy. So it's good for the president to show that he's got a good economy. So all of this points to very positive macro news. So kind of looking at fundamentally the fundamental basis for Dymension, some technical analysis in terms of comparisons with other projects, because it's a new one. And then the sentiment side. Sentiment, time will tell. If airdrops are confirmed and there are airdrop seasons, then you've seen there's limited supply of Dymension, and then the airdrop sentiment that will drive up the demand. Limited supply, more demand equals price goes up. So that's very, very positive. Now, looking at the plan and strategy. So I've got a kind of strategy of the Pareto principle. So 80-20 rule. So rather than buying everything, I want to go with my blue chip and high conviction bits. So Celestia is what I want 20% of my portfolio. So 10% has been deployed, waiting for the other 10%. Dymension will be one of them, as well as the Solana ecosystem. So those are my three main things that I want to hold. And the fourth one will be, I'm waiting for Saga or Fuel I've mentioned, as well as any other new projects that come through. So one idea I'm contemplating about is once the price doubles, take my initial out and just wait on it until the bull market ends. Now, for me, the bull market is when Bitcoin reaches new all-time high prices. So until then, I'm holding on to my crypto assets. The other 20% is for high risk, high reward, buy and forget things, as well as having a trading bag. I like to buy and trade things, so having that bag is helpful. So now specifically going into Dymension, my thoughts and my plan strategy. So when it comes out, I'm going to be using 25% of my budget immediately. I'm going to deploy that straight away and I'm going to stake it. Now, the next 25%, it depends on the market cap. If the price is $3, that's a good price that I'm willing to buy, deploy the remaining 25%, and I'm just going to kind of wait it out. The other 50%, 20%, it depends on what Bitcoin is doing. Now, I'm very concerned about where Bitcoin is at the moment. It's around the 42,000 mark. So this is, if it goes below that, I'll be very concerned and everything changes. So as long as Bitcoin stays above 43,000, which at the moment is just slightly below, I'm worried. So when it goes above that, I'll be happy to deploy more money. Until then, I'm just going to hold on to that. If we look at the fear and greed index, it's around 60. So, it's on the greed side. I'll be looking for around 40 in a bull market, something like that. If we look at how it is, so around 40, hasn't gone there this year. It's gone there for a little bit. So around 40 is where I'll deploy it. I doubt it will go down to the low 10s because that's when you are in a bear market. So that's what I'm looking at. Now, the other strategy in terms of buying Dymension, I've mentioned about staking. Now, how much will I stake? If we look at Saga, if you held 23 Saga, you got an airdrop. And what does that? And this was on the date for Saga was what? Tia. 11th of November. 11th of November, what was the price of Saga? TIA. 11th of November to stake 23. So what is the value of that? Just to kind of have a quick look. November 11th, you can see November is about $3. $3, 11, 12th of November, $4. So let's just take 4 for the sake of being conservative. 4 TIA and 23 tokens was a value of $93. So $93 staked. That's one thing to take. Another price point, alt layer, if you staked 35 alt layer and the snapshot was the 17th of January, so they were a bit more conservative in one sense, if you like. So let's look at TIA on the 17th of January. 17th of January, the price was much higher. So they were much more, the threshold was much higher. 17th of January was about $18. Am I getting my numbers right? 17th of January, yeah. Was taken on 17th of January. 17th of January. Yeah, 18. Let's call it $19. And you had to stake 35 TI, I believe. 35 TI. Staked at least 35 TI. So 35 times by, let's call it $19. That's $665. I think it's 0.79 at the moment, or the exchange rate. So £525 worth of Celestia, which is quite high for all layer. So that gives you an idea of, I don't know if it gives you an idea, but it gives you an idea of how many tokens to stake as a minimum to be able to be eligible for these airdrops, if there are any airdrops. So I'll be looking at, just to be safe, 55 or something like that as a minimum. Some people are putting it in different wallets. I'm not sure if you want to do that or not. Maybe it's just safe to put all of your tokens in one wallet, just so that you are making sure that you are eligible for the airdrops. So if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel. Hope it's been beneficial for you. And if you'd like to get in touch with us, it's halalcryptoinvesting@gmail.com. And we look forward to the next video. Until then, peace. Assalamu alaikum.